Okay, so we move on to question number 4. Okay, so over here it says Hugh sells his music online. Which one of these is a law that protects his work? So Computer Misuse Act, no. Copyright Designs and Patents Act, no. Human Rights Act, definitely no. It's going to be Data Protection Act. Okay, so I hope that you have learned of the Data Protection Act. Okay, so Data Protection Act would define what you will be able to do with somebody else's material. Okay, so it will say, for example, if you want to make changes, you have to get their permission. You cannot resell it. You cannot reshare it to anybody. This is what you call Data Protection Act. Okay, right. Moving on to the B question. Over here, it says, list 3 benefits to Hugh of selling his music online. Okay, so they're talking about selling his music over the internet. They're asking 3 benefits of it. Yes, immediately what comes to mind is that he will have access to a much larger audience. Okay, when he sells it online, he would be able to access a much larger audience. He would not be simply restricted to a city or to a town or to a country. He would be able to sell it worldwide. Okay, so you can say by selling it over the internet, he would have access to a much larger audience. Okay. Yes, another benefit that he would have is he would be able to make use of targeted marketing. Okay, so when you're selling something online, you would be able to make use of targeted marketing where you can show your ad or you can show your products or you can show your services to a very specific group of people, which is known as targeted marketing or targeted advertising. So by selling his music online, he will be able to also make use of this feature as well. Okay, so you can say he will be to make use of targeted advertising where he can advertise his music to a very specific group of people. Okay. Another benefit that we can talk about is the fact that if he's selling it online, there are no business hours as such. Okay. Customers can purchase his products at any given time. Okay. They will not have to be coming at a certain time. No, since it's online, since it's over the internet, the payment is automated. Okay. He can conduct his business or he can sell his music 24/7. Okay. So you can say Hugh will be able to sell his music 24/7. Okay, right. Okay, so these are 3 of the benefits that I have put. One more thing that comes into my mind is when you're selling it online, selling it over the internet, most probably users will be downloading the music track, isn't it? Once they agree to purchase it from you, the payment is done, and thereafter they will be downloading the track, isn't it? Now, since they are downloading the track, there will be no packing cost, isn't it? There will be no logistic cost, isn't it? Now, if they are going to come and purchase the music from you, most probably you will be giving them a CD, isn't it? So when you give them a CD, there is a packing cost, there is a logistic cost, all that is involved. But since it's happening online, they will be most probably downloading it. So then all these costs would be eliminated. You will not have to deal with logistic costs. Then, for example, maintenance costs of his store or whatever. Then what was the first one I told about? First is logistics, then the maintenance of his store. And third is also the packing cost, okay? Putting the CD into a packing, printing a cover for it, a plastic case, all that he will not have to deal with, okay? Right, superb. Moving on then to the next one, to part C, where it says figure 1 shows an image of Hugh's social media settings, okay? So over here, a screenshot has been given. Explain. So guys, explain. We're getting 2 marks for each point, okay? Explain 2 ways Hugh has protected his personal information. Okay, so we have to explain 2 ways. So when I look at this screenshot, the first thing that I do notice is that he has not uploaded a profile pic of himself. Instead, he has uploaded what we call an avatar of himself. Okay, this is something that it's kind of like a cartoon picture of himself. Okay, it's not an exact photograph of himself. Okay, so that is one measure he has taken to protect his identity. Now, if he does put a clear picture of him, this picture, this photograph can be used by users with malicious intents. They can take this photograph and they can use it for unwanted activities. Okay, but since he has only uploaded an avatar of himself, okay, there is nothing much a person with malicious intent will be able to do with such a profile pic. Okay, so let us first put that down. We can first mention that his profile pic is not an actual photograph of himself. Instead, it is an avatar of himself. So this eliminates the chance of users with malicious intents intents the chance of using use his profile pic to bully him online. Okay, is it clear? So now since he does not have a photograph of himself, okay, he has only put an avatar of himself, it reduces the chance. You can say it eliminates. There's no chance of them being able to use his profile pic to cyberbully him. Okay, right. Something else that we can look at when you look at this screenshot, we can see that, for example, his account is locked, which means that not everybody can see what he posts. Okay, only those who are his friends or only those who are following him will be able to see what he posts. Okay, so you can say what's his name? Hugh. Okay, Hugh has also made his account private, so only those who are his friends or who follow him will be able to see what he has posted. Okay, not only posted. Now if you talk about today's world, you also have something called stories, statuses, isn't it? So only those who are following him, only those who are his friends will be able to see his posts and stories. Okay, right. Now they have only asked to explain two, but there are a few other things you can also talk about. You can also talk about the fact that in his gallery he has not uploaded a pic of a clear pic of himself. Instead he has uploaded a group photo, isn't it? It is very dangerous to upload high quality pics of yourself where you're clearly visible, and this pic can be used for other purposes. Is it clear? So he has uploaded a very general photo where there are many people in it. It's difficult to focus on one person. Okay, you can also mention that. Another thing is his location is also not available. Okay, can you see? It's not available. His location, tracking his location is also not available. Okay. Also, one more thing is auto accepting of friends. He has switched it off. Okay. Not, I mean, anyone who adds him will not automatically become his friend. He has to authorize it. Okay, right. Also, if you look at his statuses, he hasn't mentioned any specifics. For example, it was great to catch up with you last weekend. He hasn't mentioned who the person is. He hasn't mentioned where it was, when it was, none of that. I mean, when he has mentioned last weekend, but where they met, he has not mentioned, and who the person is, he has not mentioned. Best homemade pizza with pineapple on the top, delicious. A very, very general, vague post. Doesn't give much detail about himself. Okay. So if you want, you can even talk about those. But remember, guys, you are only supposed to mention two, explain only 2 points. Okay. Right. Moving on to the question D over here, it says, Hugh is choosing the type of computer he will use to manage the purchase and delivery of audio files to customers. Okay. He's going to use it for managing the purchase and delivery of audio files to customers. Explain why an embedded computer is a poor choice. So guys, when we talk about embedded system, when we talk about an embedded system, we are referring to a device that can be used to perform a very, very, very specific task. So for example, if you think about a calculator can be considered as an embedded computer. It's a computer that is solely used for calculating purposes only. That's all it can do. It cannot do anything else. If you think about a fully automatic machine, washing machine, it's an embedded computer. Yes, it accepts input, it processes, it gives you output, but it's an embedded computer. It's a computer that has a motherboard, but it can only be used for a very, very specific task. It cannot do any complex tasks as such. Okay, so over here, Hugh will be performing complex tasks, isn't it? Managing the purchasers and then also attending to deliveries of audio files to customers. So this is something complicated, something that requires a computer which can handle, what do you call, carrying out complicated tasks. Okay, now if he's to use an embedded computer, a computer which can do only very specific tasks, he's going to have difficulties, isn't it? I hope you can follow with me. So let's mention it over here. You can say an embedded system is a poor choice as an embedded system. You can say system, you can say computer, whichever you prefer, is used to carry out very specific and not complicated tasks. Okay. So I have said it's a poor choice because it is only used to carry out specific tasks and not complicated tasks. Okay. So this is why I'm explaining an embedded system would not be a good choice. Okay. If you want, guys, you can also go on to mention that embedded computers have a very low processing power. Okay, so they will not be able to handle complicated tasks. You can even mention it that way. Okay, or this answer is also, I feel, good enough. Okay. Hugh is working on a musical project. List two key features of sound editing software that Hugh could use to create a song. Okay, so they're asking you two features of sound editing software that Hugh could use to create a song. So there are so many features when it comes to sound editing software. So for example, we have something called trim. Okay, so a trim is where you have an audio track and you can it's like, you know, in image editing we have crop, where you can take out parts that you do not want. So in audio editing we don't use the word crop, we use the word trim, where you can remove parts that you do not want. Then in addition to trim, we also have something called join, where you can join multiple tracks together to make one track. Okay, then you are, I mean, they have asked only for two, but there are many other features. Then for example, you have split, where you can split two musical tracks or multiple tracks, we can split them into various tracks. Okay, then you have something called, for example, fade in, fade out. Okay, so these are some of the features that you could mention over here, but keep it only to two features. Okay, the next one, it goes as describe two key features of project management software that you could use to make sure the project is complete before the deadline. So in chapter number 2, when we were learning about softwares, we also came across a type of software known as project management software. And yes, the name itself tells you what the software will be doing. The software is used to manage high-end projects. So projects where there are many resources, people, finance, so many things involved, it's difficult for a human to track the entire project. So instead, they would be using a software to track everything that's happening in the project. So such a software is known as project management software, where the entire software is being managed by a software. The software will tell each employee what they need to do, by when they need to finish, what are the resources they have to use. Okay, instructions will be provided. Okay, so this is what you call a project management software. So they are asking us over here to describe two key features of project management software that you could use to make sure the project is completed before the deadline. So in the project management software, you have something called a timeline. So a timeline would clearly show you all the activities that are going to happen. When is it going to happen? How much of time is allocated for each task? Who are the people that would be involved in each task? What are the tools that would be used in each task? By when would it be finished? What is the cost to complete that task? When this task is over, what is the next task that has to start? Okay, so a timeline would give you a detail of what is going to happen in the project. When is it going to happen as well? Okay, so shall we put the answer over here? You can say a timeline. A timeline can be used to show everybody what is going to happen and when, what is going to happen, when is it going to happen, when is it happening, and what are the resources that would be needed to complete the activity. Okay, let me just okay, so we have one thing called a timeline. A timeline will tell you on this day, this is happening, the next day, this is happening. These are the people involved in this activity. This is how much they will be needing. These are the tools that they will be needing. By this time is when they will be finishing it. Okay, this is what you call a timeline. Okay. Then, for example, something else, another feature that you could talk about is something known as collaborative working or collaboration. So a project management software will allow multiple employees work together on the same task. Okay, so project management software will, for example, send a notification to the relevant employees, telling them where they have to be present, what do they have to do, what are their tasks in that specific job. Okay, so this is what you call collaboration or collaborative working. Okay, you can say collaborative working would be possible. Okay, as the project management software would be able to have multiple employees work together on one job. Okay. So the project management software would be able to manage multiple employees to complete one particular job, for example. Okay. So it would send notification, it would remind them, it tell them what tools they need to use, by what time they need to finish, what order they need to do the work, what order they need to do the work in. Okay, all this the project management software will be able to tell them. Okay. Then another key feature, there are another few more, but I'll just mention one more, is generating of reports. Very, very important. At the end of the day, you need to be able to present a report stating what has happened. Okay. Who are the people who are involved, how much they have completed, how much of money of it has been used, how much of the budget is remaining. Okay, so another key feature of project management software is its ability to generate reports that are required by the management. So management will, for example, say, I want to know who are present from this specific day to this specific day. Project management software should be able to generate such a report. Then, for example, the management will say, I want to know who are the employees who have worked overtime from this date to this date. The software should be able to generate such a report. Okay. So generating of reports is another key feature that would be used in project management software. Okay. Right. Right. So if there's anything else that comes to your mind now, look, I can only tell you what comes to my mind, but there are many more answers that you may come up with. And if you feel it is suitable enough for a project management software, yes, you can go ahead, you can write it. If you're not too sure, my details are there in the description of this video. You can get in touch with me, tell me what is the year, what is the question number, and just give me some time to go through and get back to you. Okay. Right. In the next question, guys. Okay, so in the next question, we have got a rather big question coming up. Okay, so let's read the question together and then let's attempt it. Okay, so over here it says, Hugh uses a desktop computer to write, create, and distribute his music. Okay. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages to Hugh of selecting a desktop computer rather than a laptop, smartphone, or tablet computer. In your answer, you should consider components, portability, connectivity, cost, and maintenance. Okay. So in your answer, you have to be considering all these points in your answer. Okay. Right. So in such an answer, like I have been doing previously, instead of directly going ahead and writing your answer, it's very important that you first do something called a mind map. You think about all the possible answers that you know. Over here, the good thing is they have given you the points. They have said you have to talk about components, you have to talk about portability, connectivity, cost, and maintenance. So they have told you the points that you have to cover. So you have to simply take these points and either talk about it in an advantage perspective or talk about it in a disadvantage perspective. Okay. So first do your mind map. Okay. First put down the points that you can think of. Not the points. First put down the what do you call it? The advantage or disadvantage for each of these points. Okay. First do that. Then start writing your answer. So over here, what I'm going to do is I have already done it before we came to this question. I already did it in Notepad and kept. Otherwise it's going to take a long time if I go to do the mind map over here itself. So I'm just going to copy and paste my mind map over here. So this is my mind map. Control C and come over here and Control V. So this is my mind map. Okay, it may not make a lot of sense, but remember, this is your mind map. It has to be something brief, quick, okay, so that you can understand it. Okay, because look, you will not be getting so much of time to complete this question. Okay, so in terms of components, I have seen it as a disadvantage because in a desktop computer, the components are separate. So it may take up, so it will take up more physical space. Okay, mouse, keyboard, monitor, CPU, speakers, printer, scanner, all these components, when you spread it out, okay, when you're going to have them fixed to your CPU, it's going to take up a lot of physical space. Entire desk space is taken up. Okay, so I see it as a disadvantage. However, there is also an advantage when it comes to components, which is that a user has a lot of freedom in choosing components for his desktop. Now, when you go with a laptop, the mouse, keyboard, monitor, this display, speaker, microphone have already been given to you. But when it comes to a desktop, you have your freedom in choosing what type of a speaker you want, what type of a monitor you want, what type of a keyboard you want. You can get the components to fit your budget. Okay, you can custom build it according to your preferences. So that could also be seen as an advantage. Okay, when we speak about portability, I saw it as a disadvantage for desktop computers. When we spoke about connectivity, it was a disadvantage for desktop computers. Okay, in terms of cost, I saw it as an advantage for desktop computers. And in terms of maintenance, I have not put. Desktop computers can be upgraded, so this is an advantage. Okay, so in terms of maintenance, desktop computers, as you keep using them, components can be upgraded. Your RAM can be upgraded. If you want, you can have an external graphics card. If you want, you can change the mouse, you can change the keyboard, you can have a bigger monitor, you can have a graphics. Like this, you can keep upgrading the components, which is not possible in a laptop, tablet, or a smartphone. Okay, but there is also a disadvantage involved. There is also a disadvantage involved, which is in maintenance, you have lots of cables running all over the place. Not so easy to maintain then. Okay, so this is my mind map. Okay, this is simply my mind map. Now, using this, I will start writing my answer. Okay, so this is the answer that I came up with. Now, initially, you have to give a introduction to the topic. Okay, a very short introduction you have to give, because remember, you are doing a discussion. Okay, so when you do a discussion, you have to first introduce what you're going to talk about. Okay, what is it that you're going to discuss? You have to first present it, isn't it? So this is my introduction. Okay, Hugh is currently using a desktop computer to write, create, and distribute his music. Now he could go for a laptop or smartphone or tablet computer and completely, replace his desktop computer, but he would have to first consider the following advantages and disadvantages. Okay, then in terms of portability, this is what I came up with. Okay, this was my answer for portability. Okay, however, if you were to use a chat, okay, so I have compared it with, I have taken desktop versus laptop, smartphone, or tablet. Okay, so this is my point for portability. This is my point for connectivity. Sorry, this is my point for maintenance. Maintenance. Okay, since Hugh is into creating music, he may need to connect various musical components to a computer. Now, a desktop computer allows a user to have multiple components connected to it. But when it comes to a device like a laptop, smartphone, or tablet, the number of devices that you can connect would be very limited. So in this particular case, in this particular point, the desktop would be a better choice. Okay, right? So this is my next one. Then in terms of connectivity. Now we speak about connectivity, connecting to the internet. So I speak about accessing the internet. Okay. So I told if he uses a smartphone, tablet, or laptop, he can connect wirelessly to the internet. That's a brilliant thing. Okay. But in a desktop, most desktops only support a wired internet connection. So this is actually a disadvantage for desktops. Okay. So I have mentioned it over here. Next, I have spoken about cost. Okay. Next, I have spoken about cost. So in terms of cost, a desktop computer is relatively cheaper as you will have the freedom to select components that best fit his budget. So in this point, when it comes to cost, a desktop computer is an advantage I have spoken. Okay. Then finally, I have spoken about maintenance. Okay. Finally, I have spoken about maintenance. Okay. So when it comes to maintenance, where is it? A desktop computer offers Hughes the ability to upgrade the components whenever he needs. So I did not speak about the fact that there are so many cables involved. Instead, I went with the point where he can upgrade his components as he keeps using his device. This freedom is available in desktop, but not available in a laptop, smartphone, or tablet. Okay, that's what I have mentioned over here. Now, guys, since you are doing a discussion, you also need to have a conclusion. You need to conclude with something. What should he do? Okay, so this is the conclusion that I came up with. Okay. So given the above advantages and disadvantages, I feel it would be best for you to go for a desktop computer, mainly because you will definitely need to connect various musical components to his computer, and this is only properly possible in a desktop computer. Okay, so when he's using a desktop computer, he will be able to continuously upgrade it, and he will also be able to connect various musical instruments to it. So based on these two major advantages, I strongly feel that desktop computer would be a better choice for him. Okay, this is my conclusion. Okay, right. So with that, we have then come to the end of question number 4. We just have one more remaining, which is question number 5, and we will attempt that in the next video. Okay, so guys, see you in the next video.